Hey everyone, Tech Haberdasher here again. I just want to give you a little update. During my Ryzen builds, I am building an AMD Ryzen system as I promised. It's going to be a full AMD ASUS build, as much as I can make it. Unfortunately, the RAM that I got in turned out to be bad RAM, so I'm kind of going through the RMA process and waiting for new RAM to come in at the moment. Unfortunately, the seller that I bought it from doesn't do exchanges. They only do returns, so I've got to return it, wait for my refund, and then buy new RAM. So right now I'm down to one stick of 4 gigabytes of memory, which isn't good for anything that's gaming related or any kind of serious benchmarking or content creation. So I apologize. We're getting a little bit of delay. As a matter of a holdover video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the process that I used for upgrading my uncle's old netbook with a solid state drive. So his netbook is just slow, it's old. I mean, those netbooks had old Intel Atom processors that were like 1.6 gigahertz and had 2 gigabytes of DDR2 RAM. They're tiny things. I mean, I think the screen on this one has got to be something like 10 inches, maybe 9. It's really small, so not good for a laptop really, but it's kind of a holdover kick around computer. So I'm just going to walk you through the process of taking out the old hard drive, putting in a solid state drive, and then cloning that drive, and we're going to see how the performance is. We're going to give it a quick boot up, and we're going to go from there. So here we go. Okay, so let's get to it. This is my uncle's ASUS Eee PC. It's an old netbook that he had. It's one of the early Windows 7 laptops, or the netbooks that had the Windows 7 Basic on it to be less graphically demanding, so there's no arrow interface or anything like that. It's got an Intel Atom processor in it, which Intel doesn't even make anymore, as I understand it. So that's just to kind of give you an idea of what we're rocking here. But basically, he says he wants it to be a little bit faster. This will help its boot up times and maybe with loading applications a little bit, but not too terribly much else. So just to kind of give us an overview of what we'll be doing, there's 4 screws. We're going to go here, 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 and here. I'm going to take these screws out. We're going to flip it open, and there are these 4 little divots right here that we are going to then stick a tiny flathead screwdriver into, and we will then pry the keyboard out, and we should be able to upgrade the solid state drive using that method. I'm curious now if the solid state drive is actually just underneath the keyboard and we don't have to actually take out any of the bottom screws. So let's find out. The plastic was cracked right there. There's a little line. So I'm using a very, very, very narrow flathead screwdriver so that we can get into these little spots right here and pry out the keyboard, push back and lift up. So basically in these divots there's a little tiny clip that you have to push back, and when you do, you have to then stick the screwdriver up underneath the keyboard, so you push the clip back, and as you push back you then push downward towards the floor, and then you will pull up like so. Okay, so I was incorrect about being able to easily access the hard drive. We are going to have to remove the bottom. So we're going to start with the ribbon cable. I'm going to slide out this ZIF connector. Pulls out, so the ribbon cable is free. And then we're going to flip up this right here. That one is for the touchpad. I can get to the actual clip here to pull it out. Alright, so you can actually see here, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it into the camera or not, it actually says right there touchpad, so don't forget about that. Now, inside of here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Phillips head screwdrivers, or screws. So we're going to need a Phillips head screwdriver. Probably a Phillips 0 will probably do you best. these right on out. Alright, so 6 Phillips heads are out. Now, I don't believe I'm going to be able to pull this apart without taking out those bottom Phillips heads. No, alright. Gotta do the bottom Phillips head screws here. And they look like they're about the same, but just for the sake of being thorough, we're going to keep the 6 keyboard screws on one area, and then we're going to do the 4 bottom screws. Just keep them separate. Yeah, alright. So they do look like they're all about the same. Magnetic screwdrivers. Okay, so it's just a SD card dust cover essentially. Let's see if we can pull this apart here without too much difficulty. So, remember me saying in my iPod video that my ASUS is my favorite spudder around. It is, again, going to come in handy for us. So all I'm doing is working the spudder right here around the edge of the case to pop the clips here. Now they're just little plastic clips. They're meant to come out. This feels like it is attached in some other kind of way. Continuing to work around the sides here. Wondering if here under the RAM cover, if there is anything up under here we can unscrew. Ah, look at that right there. Got another screw attached to it again. Silver screw right here. Okay, that one's being difficult. This is where tweezers come in handy. Be able to grab it and pry it out. There's no real method to this other than I'm just trying to lift the screw at the same time I'm unscrewing it. So basically get the tweezers up under the lip of the screw as you unscrew it to actually pull it up if you ever get one of these that are stubborn and not wishing to come out. So let's see. Some Kingston RAM. Good old, what is it, DDR2? Yeah. Yep, 2 gigabytes of DDR2. Woohoo. Whopping amount of RAM there. Okay, and look at that. See how much easier that comes off when you take all the screws out? Man, that is your whole keyboard cover right there. Or top cover, rather. So now that we are back inside the belly of the beast, as it were, we are going to flip this one here. Now you can flip either side. This doesn't really matter. But the way ASUS designed this is that the actual SATA connection is over here on this side. So, of course, they've got to get it back over here. This is the actual motherboard where all the logic happens. Where the actual SATA controller is, I'm not sure. It's probably up under this board. I don't think it's any of these here. Anyway, alright, so fortunately this ribbon cable is notated for us. So MB, that's the motherboard side. Don't know what DAU is, but it's alright. We don't really need to know. And so this takes a little finesse because you've got to kind of lift and pull at the same time. Well, part of the problem is there's a screw right there. So also use your eyeballs and look at what you're doing before you do it. So, alright, lesson of this video. Things are much easier when they're not screwed down. Okay, we're just going to put that aside for the moment, and we are going to take off this cover here. So basically, this is a hard drive caddy. It's got 4 silver Phillips head screwdrivers, and again, a Phillips 0 is going to do you just fine. You can use a slightly larger, slightly smaller screw Phillips head screwdriver, and that will probably work for you fine. So 1, 2, 3. All right, let's get back to this stubborn one here. Much more cooperative this time. Alright, and 4. Okay, so what we're doing here is that basically the control board of the motherboard is face down. So we're going to pull it out. It's a C8 250 gigabyte drive. So that means we got to remember to put this one in like so. Now this is just for reference. This is a 64 gig Kingston drive. My uncle doesn't do anything on this computer. I think he's only using like 30 gigs of information on here, of space, and you know, he's had this thing now for probably 5 or 6 years. So like I said, it's kind of his kick around backup computer. He doesn't do much with it, so this will be more than enough to give him a speed boost. So if you catch yourself an old solid state drive laying around, there you go, pops in just like that. Now if you have a newer solid state drive that is 7.5 millimeters thick as opposed to 9.5 millimeters thick, then you may need to get one of those little plastic risers, and most of the solid state drives come with that now. But if you're using an old drive that doesn't have one of the little plastic risers, it basically would go right here along the edge since the drive is thinner, and then it would give it that 9.5 millimeter height. So, my hand out of the way. Here, the last one. Alright, we are screwed back in. Okay, so we're going to take this, we're going to slide it again, face down, bottoms up. And we're going to take our screw, our retention screw that basically just holds it in place. We're going to screw that back in. And you don't want it too tight, but you want it tight enough that it'll definitely hold it. So if you just start tightening it too much, you'll see the back end of this popped up. So it's not good for anybody. Alright, put the ZIF back down, so clips it in back to the motherboard. Then we're just going to pop her back together here. So let's do this, and I'm already on this side. we'll just go ahead and lay the top cover right on here. Just going to work the edges, make sure all the plastic clips pop back in place. Alright. Dog hair here. My uncle's got a little chihuahua, and she is adorable, but like all, well, not all, but most dogs, they shed. And little hairs get into everything. So I kind of got the ribbon cable in here a little crooked, if you can tell, so I'm going to straighten that up. And you do definitely want to get it straight right on, because if the connectors are off, things start to act wonky, and then it's just a whole mess, and nobody wants to be a part of that. Then you'll be having to take it back apart to try to fix it, and doing double work is not the way I like to do things. So I'm going to get our 6 original screws here. I'm going to put them back in place. And they're all the same size, so it doesn't really matter which one goes where. Just want to make sure that they're all nice and secure. Back under our little warranty sticker here. So yeah, we avoided the warranty, warranty that's expired for, 5 or 6 years now. I'm not terribly upset about it. And you'll also notice that this screw right here is also another retention screw for the solid state drive. Well, what's now the solid state drive, but the hard drive bracket. And you want to just make sure that it's lined up proper when you initially put it in, which that first screw is kind of a guide screw and a retention screw, I guess, if I think about it. And I've got a sticker on me. Ah, that's just getting everywhere. Okay, I'll have to take care of that later. Probably not watching this video to see me fight with stickers. But that will be an eventual reality if you do any of these kind of laptop repairs. There's going to be a warranty sticker someplace. So take our SD card and dust cover, slide that right back in there, make sure it clicks. Good to go. We're going to take our keyboard here. So you want to take this ribbon cable, we want to make sure we slide it in properly. So this is a little bit tricky, trying to make sure that we get a good view with the angle of the camera. But basically you're just going to take this, fold it up under itself, and it's kind of bent already to assist with this. Just going to want to slide it in, and this can be a very delicate maneuver here. So you don't want to be too rough with these cables. They're not terribly durable in their design. They're just there enough to get you in place. So flexible, they're built enough to be flexible, but not really to withstand any great stress. So just fold the end of it up under itself, slide it in, and then lock it with the ZIF here. Make sure both sides are down solid. If not, then the keyboard will slide out, the ribbon cable will slide out, and if it slides out, then you're going to be figuring out why your keyboard's not working, and nobody wants that. And then putting the keyboard back in, you just push it back down, and your 4 locks right there. The little divots will have the clips. Those will pop back into place, so you don't have to do anything fancy with that. Once that's done, go with the stickers again. See? I'm telling you. They get everywhere, these little stickers. See, I can't even hang on to it. Okay. Figure it out later. Don't know where that one went. Alright. So, now we're going to put the RAM back in. Take our silver screw here. Tighten that back down. Like I said, just enough so that it's tight, not so much that you're going to be stripping the screw head. And that's our screw hole right there. Put this in and slide it down like so. Alright, now it's tight. We're going to take our last 4 screws here, put them back in place. One. Two. Now we'll do 3. And 4. 4 screws back in place. Gotta put the battery in because didn't ask my uncle to give me his cord, power cord. But no, yeah, I did. Sweet. Alright, let me grab that. The old rubber band tie down there. Classic. Even though this has 2 Velcro tie wraps on it already. But to each their own, I guess. I mean, me personally, oh, sorry about that. For me personally, I like to actually just leave my cable all in one piece. Power cable on that side, and I've got a wall outlet underneath my desk. Okie dokie. And the moment of truth, to make sure you put it all back together properly, we're going to hit the power button. Blue light comes on. You can't really see it in the video because of the sun. Ta-da! Press delete, go into the BIOS. Okay, let's see. It's going to tell us no bootable devices found, which is correct because this is a blank. It's F2. F2 to get into the BIOS. We're going to go to boot. Boot device priority, and we are seeing exactly what we want, which is at the second option here. Switch hands. Second option there, that's our PM Kingston SV. So got it exactly like we want it to do. We got our first bootable device to be our USB drive, which is where I have Acronis installed, and we're going to boot to that. We'll be taking a look at that here in just a second. Alright everyone, since I don't have a capture card, I'm doing this the super amateur way. So booted into a Acronis True Image here. I'm using version 2015. It's what I have my license for. And basically I have it installed on this 512 megabyte drive here. I have no idea where I got this old Geek Squad drive from, but it's been my Acronis drive for as long as I can remember. So, and I just have the original hard drive connected through an external, basically an adapter. It's a SATA to USB adapter. This particular one is from Sabrent, I believe. Yep, Sabrent. So it has done me very well over the years. And we are going to give this a minute to boot up here. It's not the fastest CPU in the world, so this is going to take a while. Nor is it running from the fastest USB drive. This very well might be a USB 1.1 drive, which That might explain a little bit of the slowness. So we're going to go to Tools and Utilities. We're going to go to Clone Disk. So I don't like doing it automatic myself. I prefer to do the manual method because I'm very picky. So we'll pick Manual and then Next. So we're going to our source disk. What is our source disk? Well, that's going to be the J-Micron drive because Sabrent apparently uses a J-Micron controller for their SATA to USB, which we see what that is. So it's divided into two partitions here, well, three really. This is probably a recovery partition. Then we have the D drive, which is just data, and then we have the C drive, which is about 100 gigs. I don't really know why manufacturers split the OS and the partition the way they do on hard drives. Yep. So it contains error, so probably something wrong with a couple of the sectors. That's alright, we'll continue on. Won't be a problem after we clone it. Copy it over here to our Kingston. I'm going to say next. Yep, it says you have chosen contains some partitions that can contain useful data. Click OK to confirm deletion. So I was using this as an old boot drive on an old MacBook I had, and I don't particularly care. So proportional basically just shrinks the size of the partitions down so that they fit on the destination drive properly. I think I'm going to do things manually here. And basically, we're not going to see if I can get rid of this drive. Let's see. So that's our primary drive. This is only going to be 10 gigabytes after the fact. Can I just get rid of it? We'll just make it as small as we can. And we will make this one as big as we can. So this is our C drive. Make this as big as possible. Apparently not that big. We won't worry about partitioning this space afterwards, or renaming it. We can rename inside the OS. Just accept that. I wish we could have. God, I wish we could get rid of this D drive here. Let's see here. Let's check something on the source disk. Can we only copy? No. Okay. Apparently not. So my advice is to just shrink the D drive down as small as you can get it. That way, once we're back inside of Windows, we can delete the D partition. Next. Yep. Next. And it's going to say, hey, you sure this is how you want to do things? This is how it looks right now. This is what our solid state drive looks like. Like I said, it's just got some data on it that's all irrelevant. It's going to look like this after the fact. We're going to proceed. And then I'm going to go ahead and tell it to shut down when it's done, because when it's done, then I'm going to go ahead and disconnect all this. I'm going to boot back into Windows and see how it performs. Alright, the cloning is done. I've disconnected everything, and we're just running on our AC adapter here. So I'm going to give this a start. I'm going to press the power button here, and then I'm going to start the timer on my other computer. And hopefully that'll give us a pretty close estimation about how long it takes to boot up now. So keep in mind, this is an Intel Atom, an old Intel Atom at that. It's an N450. So I think it's a single core at 1.66 gigahertz. Not particularly fast. Look at that. You got through the loading windows already. We're only a half a minute in. Ooh, look at that. Please wait. And we're at the login. Sweet. So we'll say that that's a little slow on the stop there. So we'll say that's right at 31 seconds. From power button to login screen. Pretty good. Alright guys, that's it for this. All right, everyone. Well, that's it. Short video today. Hopefully, you kind of got an idea of what you can do if you have an old laptop or an old netbook. I mean, you can even do this with a desktop. Just get a SATA to USB adapter, pop your old hard drive in that, put the solid-state drive in your computer, do a clone using Acronis. There's other free utilities out there that you can use. I have not found any of them to be particularly good myself. I think Gparted is okay, but there's been some issues with it copying over the boot records for Windows 10 correctly. So kind of on the iffy side about Gparted myself when it comes to the free version. I think they have a paid version, but anyway, there's paid versions out there. I like Acronis. Acronis is not that expensive, so if you want to do this kind of thing, go for it and get Acronis. So that's it. That's all I got. See you around. Hopefully it won't be a couple weeks more, and I will have my full AMD Ryzen review for you. I actually have got some benchmarking done before all of my RAM just went out the window. So we'll see how things shake out, and I'll be talking to you soon. Thanks again for watching.